This wallet has been held shut by a rubber band since 2019. Not because I'm broke, because of what showing my money used to cost me. Before this is over, I'll show you the one thing my 6 most expensive sentences had in common. Why staying quiet about money isn't paranoia, it's math. A raise, an inheritance, a paid-off house, a stock win, a kitchen, and one final number. By the end, you'll know what showing each one cost me. The first bill arrives in about 40 seconds. I'm Romba. I laid floors for 26 years, and I did well. Quietly, eventually. Every scene in this story is mine. Every price was real. This isn't a lecture. This is everything nobody warned me about, so you don't have to pay for it the way I did. I'll round some numbers, and I'll say so when I do. It starts in 1997, in a break room, with a pay envelope. I was 24, sanding floors for a builder, making $29,000 a year. That October, the owner called me in and bumped me to $33,500. I floated back to the break room holding that envelope. Danny was at the table, halfway through a gas station sandwich. He asked how the meeting went. I couldn't help myself. I said the number, the whole thing grinning. "Must be nice," Danny said, and laughed half a second too late. That half second was the most expensive silence of my 20s. Because the raise took 1 sentence to announce, and 14 months to forgive me. Danny didn't turn on me. The room just changed temperature. One thing before the barbecue. If lessons like this are your kind of video, consider subscribing, but only if the next 14 minutes earn it. Back to that break room, because the bill was already printing. Within a month, 2 more crew mates knew my number. Jobs got compared. Hours got counted. Jokes grew little hooks. And my next raise, due that fall, arrived 14 months late. I can't prove why it was late. I can tell you what the waiting was worth. Roughly $2,800 in wages I never saw. Economists at the University of California once tested this exact thing. Workers who learned what peers earned got measurably unhappier. Some quietly started job hunting. The information didn't change a single paycheck. It repriced the whole room. 6 years later, at a 4th of July barbecue, I did it again, with $18,000 on the table. My grandmother passed in the spring of 2003. She left me $18,000 and a casserole dish I still use. That July, at my sister's barbecue, someone asked how I was holding up. And I told them, the grief, sure, but also the number. It felt harmless. Everyone was family. Everyone was smiling. Financial planners even have a name for it, sudden wealth syndrome. The money doesn't just change your account. It changes your address in other people's heads. By Labor Day, my phone had learned a new kind of ring. First, one small favor. It genuinely changes how I write these. Put the town you're listening from in the comments. One word, nothing else. I read every single one, and knowing who's out there shapes the next confession. Okay, September 2003. The phone rings. My brother-in-law, Ray. Good man, bad month. You're the only one I could ask. Ray borrowed $2,000 for a transmission. Over the next 3 years, $600 of it came back. October, a friend's sure thing landscaping venture. $1,500, gone in full. And all year, smaller stuff. I bought the rounds, covered the gaps, played the bank. Nobody was scheming. I had simply become the person you could ask. Added up, and roughly $4,300 of her gift went to being visible with it. And the real cost wasn't the $4,300. The real cost needs a calculator. Run it with me, slowly. Take that $4,300 and park it in a boring broad market index fund instead. An index fund, translated, one basket holding a small slice of every big company at once. At the market's long-run 7%, money doubles roughly every 10 years. So $4,300 in 2003 is about $8,600 by 2013 and about $17,000 by 2023. One honest caveat, because accuracy beats drama. After inflation, that 7% runs closer to 5. Even at 5, one barbecue sentence compounds into roughly $12,000 of today's money. One sentence, 5 figures. And I still didn't have a name for whatever kept charging me. I found one that winter, sketching my year at the kitchen table. Every loss traced back to the same moment, the moment someone learned what I had. Not the raise, the announcing of the raise. Not the gift, the showing of the gift. So I gave it the only honest name I could think of, the visibility tax. The price you start paying the moment your money becomes public knowledge. No invoice, no due date, and everyone you tell becomes a collector without ever meaning to. The next installment came with turkey and a toast. November 2009, 12 years of double shifts, and the house was paid off. I was 36, and I had never felt anything like that quiet. At Thanksgiving, my mother raised her glass and told the whole table. I let her. Honestly, I helped. Applause, hugs, my aunt crying a little into a paper napkin. Honestly, it was one of the best nights that dining room ever saw. But a paid-off house tells a room two things. He has slack, and he signs well. By spring, I was the family's default answer to every loan officer's question. And in April, my cousin slid some truck paperwork across that same table. Co-signing, translated. His loan, my name, my credit, and if he misses, my bill. He was family. The truck was for work. I signed. Year 2, the layoffs came, and 3 of his payments landed on me. $3,100. My credit dipped about 40 points for a truck I never once drove. I'm not special. In one creditcards.com survey, nearly 4 in 10 cosigners ended up paying out of pocket. Here's the visibility tax doing its quiet work. Nobody asks the man with a mortgage to co-sign. They ask the man who announced he's done. My cousin and I are fine now, by the way. The truck outlived the job. The next confession cost me nothing in dollars. It was the most expensive one anyway. In 2016, a stock I'd held for 5 patient years finally ran. I was up $9,400, and I did the modern version of shouting it. I posted the screenshot in the family group chat. Green numbers, little rocket. For one warm week, I was a genius. The group chat glowed, and 2 cousins asked what else I was holding. Then my friend Marcus copied my next buy. Bigger, on borrowed money, without the 5 patient years. The stock dipped, the way stocks do, and he sold at the bottom. Marcus lost about $8,000 of his own money. He never once said it was my fault. He didn't have to. Every dinner after that had a 4th chair for that screenshot. Now, here's the part that should actually bother you. Add my first bills up, $2,800, plus $4,300, plus $3,100. That's $10,200, before we even try to price what happened with Marcus. And not $1 of it was stolen. No scam, no betrayal, no villain twirling anything. Every dollar left with my permission, one small polite yes at a time. That's what makes this tax different from every other tax you'll ever pay. It never sends a bill. It arrives dressed as family, friendship, and good news. You can't fight it, because there's nobody to fight. Which is exactly why I owe some people in this story an apology. Danny wasn't cruel. Ray wasn't a leech. Marcus wasn't a fool. And if you've said your own versions of my 6 sentences, neither are you. What happened here isn't a character flaw. Not theirs, not mine, not yours. It's a gap in what you were taught, and a gap, unlike a flaw, can be closed. There's no conspiracy in any of it either. Just incentives, sitting where anyone would sit. When someone learns you have slack, asking becomes reasonable. That's all. Hold that thought. Because in 2021, I handed a contractor the one piece of information you should never hand anyone. Spring 2021. Our kitchen was original to a house built in 1974. We had saved for the renovation for years. Cash, ready, no financing. The first contractor walked the room slowly, tapping cabinets, measuring twice, nodding at the water-stained ceiling. And I said it, casually, like a man showing a good hand. Whatever it costs, we're paying cash. He didn't blink, but his pencil slowed down. His porch ballpark had been $9,800. The written quote arrived at $12,400. Same kitchen, same cabinets, one new fact in the room. I can't prove the cash did it. Nobody ever can, which is the elegant part. But ask around the trades, quietly, and you'll hear the same folk wisdom everywhere. A price isn't built from costs alone. It's built toward the ceiling the buyer shows. Show no ceiling, and the quote has to compete. Show whatever it costs, and the quote relaxes into your budget like a warm bath. A second bid, requested with a straight face and no mention of cash, came in at $9,600. $2,800 for 8 words of confidence. We hired the second man. The kitchen turned out beautiful, and I learned to let my money walk in wearing work clothes, which left one last sentence I had never said out loud. In March 2024, I said the whole number. My brother and I were closing up after our mother's birthday dinner. 2 glasses in, feeling close, he asked what I was actually worth. And after 27 years of expensive practice, I still answered. The whole thing, $640,000, $640,000, house included, said out loud in my mother's hallway. For scale, the Federal Reserve's own survey puts the median American family somewhere around $193,000. So to my brother, I hadn't shared a number. I had changed species. He was lovely about it. And the number went to work immediately. Restaurant checks began drifting my way. Gift lists grew a zero. And whenever I hesitated, come on, you can afford it. He wasn't wrong. That's the trap. This tax collector is always technically right. Call it $1,200 a year, every year, forever. A subscription I never signed up for. Because here's what a revealed number does that nothing else in this story could do. It can never be unsaid. A raise fades. A windfall gets spent. But a spoken net worth becomes your permanent setting. Every future ask, every dinner, every family Christmas gets measured against it. The Fed revises its survey every 3 years. Families never revise yours. My brother has surely forgotten the amount by now. The category is forever. So those are my 6. The raise, the gift, the payoff, the win, the cash, and the number. What I did next sounds like hiding. It was arithmetic. Since 2019, I've run one simple policy. Good money news gets 30 quiet days. Before I tell anyone anything, it goes in the notebook first and waits. In those 30 days, the urge to announce dies almost every single time. My raises since then have arrived on schedule. My renovation quotes stopped swelling the moment nobody could see my ceiling. Family asks still come, and I still say yes to some of them gladly. But now I decide from quiet, not from a reputation I built at a barbecue. The wallet with the rubber band is part of that policy. You'll see why in a minute. Because these were never 6 different mistakes. Look closer at them with me. Here is the one thing all 6 had in common. The answer I promised you at the start. The moment another person learns you have slack, asking for a piece of it becomes their rational move. Not malice, not jealousy, incentive. Information moves prices in every market on earth. And a family is a market too. Watch the same mechanism walk through 3 of my scenes wearing 3 different costumes. The break room, Danny learned my price, so the room repriced me back. The costume was comparison. The barbecue, Ray learned I had slack, so asking me became the safest move he had. The costume was need. The contractor, he learned my ceiling, so his price climbed toward it. The costume was a quote. Different rooms, different decades, identical math. Nobody conspired. Every one of them simply responded to what I showed them. That is why staying quiet about money isn't paranoia. It's math. Privacy doesn't insult the people you love. It protects the prices between you. And now you've seen it. You won't unsee it. You'll catch it working in rooms I've never been in. So, the wallet. The class broke in 2019, the same year I started the 30-day policy. I could replace it tomorrow without noticing the money. Everyone who sees it thinks they know something about me. They don't. That's the point. The rubber band isn't thrift. It's a reminder I carry through every door. The less a room knows about your ledger, the fairer its prices stay. Here's the one thing I'd ask you to try. The next good money news you get, a raise, a windfall, a payoff, give it 30 quiet days. Write it in a notebook nobody reads. Let it compound in the dark. Tell the one person who shares your bills, and no one else. Not yet, maybe not ever. 6 things stay private in my life now. Not because I'm ashamed of a single one of them. Because I finally read the bill for showing them. Money you show gets taxed by everyone who sees it. Money you keep quiet only ever pays you. My name is Romba. The rubber band stays on the wallet.